Lingaraj sir? Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you. And namaste and welcome. I welcome all of you to the Valedictory Day of ESM Webinar Series. We are really grateful and honored that we have our guide with us, Professor Anand Mahanan. We have our chief guest, Dr. Shishir Swain. We have resource person, Dr. Binu PM. And we have our founder, the founding member of ESM English Support Mission, Shri Venkat. Other members, participating members. Moving on, I would like to request dear Shubhanu to please introduce the founding member of ESM, and so that we'll proceed further. Yeah, Shubhanu, it's over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. My namaste to everyone present over here. And we are glad to have the valedictory session of English Support Mission Webinar Series. The founder of ESM is Panchanand sir, who will be speaking next after I introduce him. Presently, sir teaches English at RC College Kodinga in Navrangpur. He is an ELT consultant and practitioner. He received his MA and MPhil from Bhavani Patna and Sambalpur University and his PGDT and PGDCE from FLU and University of Hyderabad respectively. He has done an integrated course in English for class 8. He has authored a CBSE textbook for VK Global Publications, New Delhi, and has designed a course in oral communication skills for the employees of State Bank of Hyderabad as a part of his English for Specific Purposes project. His specializations include ESP training, vocabulary training, social linguistics, applied linguistics, translation, folklore, and communicative English. He has named an e-book named The Global Impact of COVID-19 on Society, Business and Economy, published on behalf of NITTE School of Management, Bangalore, which is published by Dawn Publishers. And with that, he is also the founder of ESM, which is exclusively for the rural youth. And he, along with his participants, conduct workshops and training programs for the rural youth. We welcome you, sir. Over to you, Panchanand, sir.
Thank you, Subhranshu. Thank you so much for your nice introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to today's valedictory session of ESM Webinar Series, which started on 27th June 2021 and continued up to 30th January 2022. For those who are new to the webinar series, I would like to remind them of our webinar series, how and when it started and how it continued till today. Honorable today's chief guest, Dr. Swain sir, former controller of examinations, Sambalpur University, Sambalpur, and today's special guest of honor, Binu sir, who has joined us all the way from Oman. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. And our beloved mentor, Professor Anand Mahanan, Department of Material Development, Testing and Evaluation, the English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad, and my committed ESM team and my distinguished participants. Let me tell you something about our webinar series. As you all know, the webinar series started on 27th June 2021, and the webinar series was inaugurated by Vice Chancellor Kalahandi University, Professor Sanjay Kumar Satpathy, and the resource person of that first webinar was Professor G. Rajagopal, former Dean, School of English Language Education, the English and Foreign Language University, Hyderabad. It was a wonderful session, and Professor Anand Mahanand, Dr. Avilas Nayak, Dr. Arul Behera, and so many others distinguished dignitaries had graced the occasion. Then webinar 2 was devoted to developing active vocabulary, and I was the research person, and Captain Jaydev Sahu, HOD English, and Deputy Registrar was the guest, chief guest of that webinar 2. Webinar 3 was on improving speaking skills by Professor Sumita Roy, former HOD English and Director, English Language Training Center, Osmania University, Hyderabad. And the session was quite engaging, wonderful. Webinar 3 was on informal and formal conversation skills by Professor Kalyani Samantrai, HOD, former HOD Department of, present HOD Department of Arts, Communications and Indic Studies, Sri Sri University, Cuttack. Webinar 5 was on exploring mobile technology for teaching of English. And the research person of the webinar was Professor Atanu Bhattacharya, Center for English Studies, Central University, Gujarat, Gandhinagar. It was on 8th August 2021. Then webinar 6 was on interactive reading by Dr. Avilas Nayak, Senior Regional Director, IGNO, Patna, Regional Center. And the topic was interactive reading. The date was 22nd August 2021. Webinar 7 was on teaching and learning requirements of 21st century, a post-pandemic approach. The research person was Professor Kalyani Samantrai, HOD, Department of Arts, Communication and Indic Studies, Sri Sri University, Cuttack. Webinar 8 was on teaching language through literature, and the research person was Dr. Bikram, the chief guest was Dr. Bikram K. Das, former professor, CIEFL and National University, Singapore. And research person was Professor Anand Mahanand, Department of Materials Development, Testing and Evaluation, FLU, Hyderabad. Again, webinar 9 was on speaking English with ease, and the research person was Dr. Arul Behera, Associate Professor of English, Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Bangalore. Then webinar 11 was on facing a job interview, and the research person was Professor Ganeshan, former VC and HOD German Language, CIEFL, Hyderabad. And the chief guest of that session was Dr. Sisir Kumar Swami, former controller of examination, Samapur University. Webinar 12 was on communicative skills in English for better job opportunity. And the research person was Professor Ganeshan, former Vice Chancellor, HOD German Language, CIFL, Hyderabad. And the chief guest was Professor Kalidas Mishra, former Professor, Department of English, Sambalpur University. Webinar 13 was on teaching listening skills, and the research person was Professor Venkat Reddy Kotam, Department of Training and Development, FLO, Hyderabad. And the research chief guest was Professor Ashok Kumar Turuk, Department of Computer Science, NICH, Raurkela. Webinar 14 was on writing and publishing a research paper, and the research person was Professor Anand Mahanand, Department of Material Development, Testing and Evaluation, FLU, Hyderabad. And the chief guest was Professor B.N. Patnaik, former Professor, Department of Humanities and Social Science, IIT Kanpur. And webinar 15 was on teaching English through newspapers, And the research person was Ms. Satrupa Mishra, Assistant Professor of English, Model Degree College, Deoghar. And the guest of honor was, chief guest was Dr. Sunita Mishra, Professor, Center for English Language Studies, University of Hyderabad. Webinar 16 was on 21st century skills, and the chief guest was Dr. Albert P. Ryan, ELT research person, academician, and research person. And Mr. Susai Rathinam was the research person. He was the teacher educator. Webinar 17 was teaching grammar in context. And the chief guest of the session was Dr. Ajit Kumar Kulu, Assistant Professor of English, Sambalpur University, Sambalpur. And guest of honor was Dr. Ajit Pradhan, Assistant Professor of English, Centurion University. Our research person was Sri Panchanan Duriya. Webinar 18 was on teaching pre-writing skills to the ecolabial learners. And the chief guest of the session was Dr. Priya Sasidharan, Associate Professor of English, Government College of Engineering, Bhawanipatna. And the research person was Dr. Suchishmita Barik, PhD English Language Education, the English and Foreign Language University, Hyderabad. So in total, we conducted 18 webinars. Am I right, Subransu? 18 or 20? 18, I think.
Sir, 20, sir.
20, total 20. But
yes, sir.
In the middle of our webinar series, we also conducted a 40 hours course, a free course for the students of class 10th of Odisha. It started on 18th October and continued up to November 16th, right?
Yes, sir.
16th November.
Yes, sir.
So both the program was very successful. This is how English Support Mission is growing and committed to its mission and vision. Thank you so much. Over to you, Subransu.
Yes, sir.
But I must tell you that for this whole webinar series, this support, guidance from Professor Anand Mohanand, Dr. Swain sir is praiseworthy. Always they are in constant, they are in touch with us. Particularly Professor Anand Mohanand has been our great support, mentor. The webinar series could not have been possible without his consistent support, guidance, and mentorship. And Professor Dr. Swain sir is also very supportive of English Support Mission. He is very committed to it. And I'm very much thankful to each and every single ESM team members for their dedication, commitment for this webinar series. And I'm very much thankful to every single participant, those who have been a part of this webinar series from day one. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Ligraj.
Thank you, Panchanan sir, for your beautiful introduction on the foundation ESM. Now, I would like to request Shubhranshu Das to please introduce Dr. Shishi Swain, the chief guest of the day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Our chief guest for today is Dr. Shishi Kumar Swain. Sir did his MA in English from Bani Bihar Utkal back in 1979 and his PhD in 2002. He started as a lecturer in English in 1981, working in Gangadhar Meher College of Sambalpur, and he worked for 38 years holding different positions like vice principal and principal of 2 different government colleges in Western Odisha, and took his retirement after working as the controller of examinations of Sambalpur University for 5 years. He taught PG students for more than 12 years and acted as the supervisor for many PhD scholars. He has edited a short story collection in English that was prescribed as a text for undergraduate students. Teaching literature, particularly poetry, is what he likes the most. But second language acquisition is another area of interest for him. Namaste, sir, and we welcome you. Over to you, Shishi, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
It's a lovely time. I feel honored to have been made the chief guest of the valedictory session of the webinar series on development of proficiency and professional skills organized by English Support Mission. I feel elated to know that I am here in the midst of a galaxy of stalwarts who have taken giant strides in the fields of literary and linguistic skills. Now, what is a perfect speech on a valedictory function? I wonder. Someone from inside my heart says, you must wear a somber look, cultivate a tone that is soaked in a bowl of grief for more than 2 nights, and then whatever you speak will stick to the hearts which are equally choked with deep sorrows. Although I feel like doing that, I won't do that today because someone else from within me tells me a different story. It says, you must not appear sad at all. Rather, you should fly on the wings of praise, appreciate every single effort of the organizers, shower praises on their commitment and sense of discipline, and offer a basketful of bouquets to the mentors for their sacrificial service and guidance, and then applause the inquisitive audience for so sincerely holding on to the boat that took them through an 8-month-long immensely useful journey for developing their professional skills and proficiency in the fields of communication and teaching. Today, I won't do that either. I would rather like to tell you a story, a real life story, which I have collected from the memory box of my daughter. My daughter, who works as an assistant professor in English in a technical university now, was serving as a guest faculty in VSSUT, Veer Surendra Sai University of Technology, Odisha. That's a university of engineering. One day, she had to take a test of the students of her class to measure their speaking skills. She gave them a topic and allowed them to prepare for 20 minutes. After that, she called out the roll numbers, and one after another, students came and spoke on the topic. Then came the turn of a girl who was literally trembling in fear. Her eyes were pools of water. She came and stood in front of my daughter and spoke in a whispering voice, "Madam, I can't speak." My daughter looked into her eyes, felt empathetic towards her. Mind you, not sympathetic, but empathetic, and told her, "Can you speak before me?" "Yes, ma'am," she said, and said something. Then my daughter told her, "You spoke really well. Can you speak the same thing before 2 of your friends?" "Call them." She called them and spoke before them. Then my daughter said, "You really spoke well." The face of that girl brightened up. My daughter then asked her, "Can you now tell the same thing to the class?" She nodded and spoke. My daughter told me afterward, many days afterward, no one is inferior. No one is superior in a normal classroom. It's their nature and nurture that has made them different. In the true sense, no one is a Gada, as people say, a fool, an ass, or donkey. No one is a Gada. Put them in a different situation where there is no one to judge, they will perform excellently well. We are fortunate that we are going to hear Dr. Binu, who will enlighten us about how to tackle slow learners. I welcome him. I really appreciate that he has worked on an area of immense importance in this modern world, which is very complex and where you confront many kinds of inhibiting factors. What I'm really trying to say is this. English Support Mission has organized 20 webinars on various topics so far, starting from teaching language skills, classroom management skills, teaching English skills, to using stories in language education. They have also done a 30-hour course for high school students. Excellent. Wonderful. I would like to say one more thing. Whenever we want to teach, the bottom line is always this. Respect the individuality of the person. Accept him or her fully. Don't reject. Don't be a judge. Don't even sympathize. Rather, be empathetic. Get into their shoes. Feel the way they feel. That's the first and most important thing. Create the right environment. Only then you can deliver. Never ever think he or she is an ass or Godha, less meritorious. What yardstick do you have to judge someone's merit? No, you cannot define a person like this. There are people who may not be good at school or college. Maybe at a given point of time, in a particular situation, they are not able to express themselves fully, not able to respond properly. But they may be much, much better than you. They may have excellence in many other fields. They may have life skills. They may have been good friends. They may have been very supportive. They might have excellence in other fields as well. So, let us not judge others. Throw away all biases out of the window, and then he will start delivering, and delivering well. My last word. English Support Mission has used the richest vocabulary in English. The second webinar of this series was on developing active vocabulary. How do you enrich your vocabulary? Not by learning more words which you never use, but by learning to use the stock of your vocabulary appropriately. English Support Mission has used the richest vocabulary because, this is what I say, because the two words, support and mission, just cannot be replaced by any other word. Support has a rich connotation. It recognizes your ability to stand. So this group will provide only the support, the right support, as per the need. Whatever may be the need, they are there to support you, to hold your hands, to make you stand up, to make you run, to make you go further, to move speedily. The word support has a great connotation. And then it is a mission. A mission has no end. It continues and continues and continues. It serves you with no expectation of reward. Isn't that wonderful? Don't you think? This nomenclature is very rich. Finally, I'm reminded of one of the poems, one of the stanzas, one stanza from one of the poems of Robert Frost. I would like to encourage every one of you. I would like to thank everyone present here, particularly English Support Mission and all the mentors. I appreciate the great work they are doing, and I would still like to say to them, with Robert Frost, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Thank you.
Thank you, Shishir sir, for your really motivating, encouraging words. There are a few lines that really tossed all of us. Lines on empathy, for example, not to judge someone, but to appreciate their ability, his or her ability, and to be empathetic towards them. Thank you. That's really philosophical and educational foundation, we can say. Thank you so much for your inspiring, lovely words and lines for all of us.
Most welcome.
Encouragement, please. Thank you, thank you so much. Now I would like to request Mr. Branshu to please introduce the resource person of the day. Mr. Branshu, it is over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Our resource person for today is Dr. Binu PM. He is a faculty member in the English Language Center at the University of Technology and Applied Sciences, Al Musanna, Oman. He has been teaching the English language for about 20 years in various institutions in India and Oman. He holds an MA and MPhil in English language and literature, a B.Ed in education and teaching methods, a Cambridge CELTA, and a PhD in ELT. He is currently pursuing the Cambridge Delta course. He has to his credit 14 research papers published in international journals, 4 book chapters, and a book in ELT. In addition to that, he has presented research papers at international ELT conferences in India, UAE, Thailand, Oman, and England. His current interests include classroom research, learning strategies, intercultural communication, computational linguistics, and discourse analysis. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the welcome. It's indeed great to be here in this afternoon to interact with students and teachers of English language teaching.
Switch on your mic, this video, please.
Okay. Can you share the screen, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We live in a world where there are a lot of competitions. Competition among countries and governments, corporate firms, political parties, vaccine producers, and even individuals. Fortunately or unfortunately, this competitive atmosphere is found in every walk of life, including education. And it's natural that in this competition, some people win the battle and others lose it. And this scenario is found in the language classroom too. Most educators encourage their learners to develop this competitive spirit as they believe it is productive and enhances student learning. Consequently, we see some students who excel in studies. At the same time, we also see certain others lag behind the rest of the class. The reason is not always the lack of motivation or sincere efforts. In most cases, these students do not have the essential tools and strategies to compete with the rest of the class. And here comes the need for extra language support. And here comes the relevance of organizations like English Support Mission. So I really appreciate the work done by English Support Mission, because I feel that your mission is in line with my area of research. My area of classroom research has been about this marginalized section of students called slow learners. And today, I would like to share with you some thoughts and ideas about the instructional strategies the teachers can employ to uplift these struggling learners. Let's first look at some definitions of slow learners. The first is by Griffin, and the second one by Lowenstein. I'm not going to read out the whole definition of these educators, but I have just highlighted two terms from both definitions. If you look at the first one, you can see that learn more slowly. These are the words I have highlighted. When you talk about slow learners, it is obvious that they learn slowly. Let's look at the keywords underlined and highlighted in the second definition, which says not disabled. Which means that slow learners do not belong to the category of the disabled that requires special educations. So they are in the borderline. And let's look at some characteristics of slow learners, because we find slow learners in every class, and sometimes they go unnoticed or they are placed in a different category. The most obvious characteristic of slow learners is short attention span. This is why we sometimes find students who are disruptive in the class. If you ask them to read a text, they might read a few lines and then start doing something else. And this might cause the fury of the teacher, thinking that the student is unmotivated. At the same time, they also feel a difficulty in understanding abstract concepts. And this is why even when the teacher explains a concept several times, they fail to comprehend, because their mindset is tuned to understand concrete objects or instruction that is used giving concrete instructions. And other characteristics are, they also get sometimes confused with multi-step instructions and have poor organization skills. Besides, they also have problems in transferring information, and finally they have poor self-image or poor self-esteem. And what are the causes? What makes a student a slow learner? There are a number of causes that make a student a slow learner. It could be hereditary or the environment, the way the student was brought up could also be a factor that leads to slow learning. Other causes could be socio-political or even cultural problems. Or a frustrating past experience can also sometimes lead to slow learning. For example, in the initial stages of learning, if a student faces a bitter experience, probably in the classroom, it can also develop a kind of strong dislike against studies. And of course, another reason is untrained teachers. In the initial days of learning, if they're badly treated by a teacher who is untrained, they are likely to develop a strong dislike, not only against the teacher, but also the process of learning. And let's now look at some of the strategies that teachers can use to identify slow learners. The best thing is observation. When we say observation, it has to be an ongoing process. Observing learners while they are listening, while they are responding to the teacher's instructions, while they interact with others, and while they do their assignments and work. And other tools are, of course, assessment and evaluation. And it's also very important that teachers interact with them personally to see the learning problems that they might find, which are the causes of slow learning. And if you want to confirm it scientifically, the best way is to conduct a case study. And what are the strategies the teachers can employ to uplift slow learners or to give them a helping hand to overcome their learning difficulties. We'll be looking at these factors one by one. The first one is motivation. Motivation is the driving force to achieve the desired goals. We always see that slow learners do not set any target in learning. They pour in setting goals, either short-term or long-term. They just become a part of the learning process in class, or they do their learning as a matter of routine. And this is why we see that they always do not show any interest in the subject matter and hesitate to be actively involved in the learning process. And we also sometimes find that they do not build a good rapport with the teacher and with the rest of the class or their peers. And this is why we feel that they do not build a good self-image. While tackling the problems faced by slow learners, it is important that teachers use a variety of instructional techniques. We sometimes see that certain teachers stick to the same method of instruction right from the beginning of their career till they retire. They use same examples, they use same method of teaching, and they never try to make any modifications or update themselves with the latest trends and challenges in education. So it's very important that we possess a repertoire of teaching methods and tools and use the right one in the right time. So it is important that we change our instructional practices from direct instruction or indirect instruction, or whether it be grammar translation, audiolingual, the structural approach, or the total physical response. So there is no single method that we can use throughout the day or throughout the period of our career. If you look at the history of methods, we can see that the world is moving in a circle. We never stick to a single method of teaching. At certain times, people say the direct method was more effective. Later, some other experts believe that the communicative language teaching is more effective. So when we talk about methods, I think we should go for a principled eclecticism where we use a combination of different methods and approach. And what guides our selection should be the learning objectives and the learner's interest. Collaborative learning. As I told earlier, the students who cannot focus on anything for long will find it difficult to have long hours of study. So the best thing is to place them in groups and encourage collaborative learning, because this sort of learning experience is interactive and it's a social process. So they build not only language skills, they also develop other social skills. And this learning process is less stressful. Effective teaching. I now remember the words of the chief guest who said that we must be empathetic to our learners. We must respect our learner as an individual. And this is what we should understand when we think about effective teaching. So teaching is not a process of activating the cognitive domain alone. It is also a part of emotion. So effective teaching is about integrating our cognition and emotion. Or we can say that it's a work of the heart, especially when we talk about motivations. We need to be very effective. We need to be empathetic to develop interest in learning and also help the student to set goals in their life. A third approach that we can have while dealing with slow learners is to go for individualized instruction, understanding the specific learning difficulties We need to tailor the learning content and give them practice, giving stress on the areas that he really is lacking. It's sometimes very challenging for teachers to go for individualized instructions, especially when they have to deal with other students. So in inclusive education, what we can do is we accommodate all students to the regular classroom and try to find small groups, tutorials for those students who require additional training. Because we find that slow learners have a different pace of learning. They sometimes find it to match with the instructional strategies of the teachers, and they also struggle to compete with other students in the class. So they might need additional homework. They might need more repetition with exercises. And the best way is to have individualized instruction. Feedback. A very important area in teaching, especially while dealing with slow learners, is to give proper feedback. And it must be individual and regular. Especially in the language classroom, when we give feedback, we have to be very specific about feedback. It's very common that teachers sometimes ask their students to improve their speaking skills. You need to improve your speaking skills, or you need to be very attentive in the listening class. But we need to be very specific when we say about this speaking skills. What are the speaking skills that they need to develop or that they need to focus on? Is it about the speaking in general or some other speaking sub-skills like participating in a discussion or turn-taking or interrupting politely? So there are various sub-skills that we need to list and ask students to find out the areas of their weaknesses and strengths. So regular feedback is an important factor in language education, especially for uplifting the slow learner. Self-regulation. Most slow learners depend on the teachers. They heavily depend on the teachers for everything they do in the class. So it's important that we train them to be self-regulate in their instructional process, in the learning process. So promoting learner autonomy is pivotal in helping students overcome their learning problems so that they understand how to set goals, how to find a convenient time, a convenient pace of learning, and they will also be able to have active control of the learning process so that this will help them develop individual learning styles. So sharing learning styles with the rest of the class will also give them a chance what works best for them. So teachers can encourage the students in class to share the different strategies they employ by dealing with certain learning process. Teacher collaboration. It's also sometimes important that teachers collaborate with other teaching partners, especially when you deal with slow learners. It's good to discuss the difficulty level of students with your teaching partners so that you can mutually support each other and have a better understanding of your learners. Besides, teachers should also develop the habit of reflective practice, which is looking back at what you do in the classroom each day. You know that teaching often becomes a routine and we do not like to think about what went wrong or what went well in the class. When we get back to the staff room or home, we hardly find any time to reflect on the lessons, what we think is the other home responsibilities that we all have. But to be an efficient teacher, to be very effective in the classroom, it's important that we reflect on the lessons. just to understand what went wrong or how effective it was. If you look at the humorous statement made by a teacher, you can see that this is true for many practitioners. Let me read out the words for you. I'm not sure if they understood the lesson, but I taught it really well. And this is what most teachers believe, that they really worked hard, they prepared well, and they delivered an excellent lesson. But they often do not care to see how effective it was. So the amount of student learning is sometimes not assessed. And this is why reflective cycle is important in the teaching process. So our duty does not end with teaching. It only starts there. Once the lesson is over, we need to self-assess. We need to have a self-reflection of the different activities that we did in the class and how students responded to it. And we must have to make it subjective to our reflective process, so that we might consider other alternatives which could be practiced in the following days. And this requires the teachers to employ different instructional strategies which are learner-centered and which is built on the principle of constructivism. Because English language education is not about transferring knowledge or information to the students, but it is helping the learners to develop the language skills. They should also be able to develop a global outlook. So it requires the teachers to modify the lessons to suit the specific learning context and constantly develop new strategies. While designing a lesson, it's important that you consider the interest and experiences of students. Every new batch of students comes out with a different background. Their schemata is never the same. They have newer experiences, and their area of interest is constantly different. If teachers still stick to the old stories, the students may not find any interest in it. So it is very important that to identify the areas of student is essential in planning and preparing our lessons. And to circumvent the learning difficulties, technology can do a lot. It also helps students to learn things at their own pace. So we have to exploit the potentials of available technology. When we talk about education technology, we know that there are students who still do not have access to modern devices. So we should find out what is accessible to them and try to use maximum with those devices. So finally, before I wind up, I have a message for students, because I think some of the participants are students. So my message to you is that please compete against the situation and not your peers, because it's very common that teachers encourage their learners to be competitive in the class. And in most cases, we see that students are competing each other, not against the situations, because we never know what we are going to do in the future. We see that when students are employed, they hardly find the lessons, the skills they develop in the classroom is never used in the workplace. You might learn something in your university or college, but once you are employed, you must be required to use different skills, because technology is advancing and the world is changing. So we need to develop the skill of adapting ourselves to new situations. So let's our fight be against the situation and not against our peers. And finally, this is my message to teachers. This is in fact the words of John Dewey, who believes that if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. So it requires teachers to constantly update their instructional strategies and see that how effectively the lessons are perceived by the students. We should never stick to a single method of teaching or a single style in the instruction practice. We need to constantly make changes to our instruction practices and attitude to students. So thank you for this opportunity. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Venu sir. Truly speaking from my heart, in the series that we have done today till date, we didn't touch this area of education, particularly speaking, because dealing with slow learners is quite difficult, as you all know. But the strategies and the ideas that you share with us are quite useful. We'll try to follow, obviously. May I request Panjanan sir? Panjanan sir? Okay, further. Panjanan.
Hello.
Yeah. Let's carry further, please.
Okay. So it's a wonderful presentation, sir. The topic is very interesting and very useful for a teacher like me, because I deal with the tribal learners and most of them are slow learners. So I found this session very effective, useful, and informative. Thank you so much, sir, for this lovely session. May I now request some of the participants, both the teacher participants and the student participants, to say something about our webinar series. They can narrate their experience of joining ESM series, ESM Webinar Series. Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It's over to the participants, both the teacher participant and the student participant.
May I, sir? It's Deepak, sir. May I?
Please turn your video. First.
Yes, sir. It's on, sir. Yes, sir. Deepak, sir.
Okay.
You may continue, sir.
Yeah, may I start?
Okay, please. Please limit it to 2 or 3 minutes. Okay.
Yes. Good evening, respected dignitaries. It's really wonderful to see all you together on the very special day, that is the valedictory session of ESM Webinar Series. I do not have words to talk about ESM, as we all have witnessed all the day that how it is growing day by day. We have witnessed it all, and I would not take much time, but I would definitely emphasize saying like the initiative taken by Mr. Panchananduria, the founder of ESM, is really wonderful, and we want such kind of platform so that we as educator and learners as well share or exchange ideas. And eventually, I would like to thank all the participants and everyone who has contributed to English Support Mission in any ways. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. There's a question in the chat box by Jaideep DP sir to Binu sir. The question is how to take about different learning styles in language classroom. Could you possibly suggest some strategies, please? Over to you, Binu sir.
When we talk about learning strategies, we consider independent learning. It's not about instructional strategies employed by the teachers. It's about learning strategies used by learners or students. So it's always good to ask the students how they learned a particular item. So when they share their learning experience, other students understand the way he or she learned was more effective than the way I learned. So this is why we say encouraging learners to share their strategies and styles will help other students copy good styles from them. So it's not about instruction strategies, it's about learning strategies.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Any more questions from the participants? You may please ask, or if you want to speak something.
Malavika Mishra, I request Malavika Mishra to give her feedback.
Okay, sir. A very good afternoon to all the participants and the honorable dignitaries, my respected faculty members, and my friends like students. I'm Malvika Mishra, lecturer in TF Degree College, Burger, feeling blessed to be a part of this webinar session, where I could be a part of this webinar session and connected with the personas like Dr. Abhilash Naik sir, Dr. Anand Mahanand sir, B. Ganeshan sir, Kalyani ma'am, Sumita ma'am, Raj Gopal sir, and many more, many more. And today's our beloved Dr. Cecil Swai sir as a chief guest and Dr. Vinu PM as resource person. This is such a platform where after long, I feel myself as a student and enjoyed a lot. The way these intellectuals have presented their papers, it is just beyond my words. Their discussion, their analysis, their pronunciation, etc., has inspired me a lot, and I really learned many things that I have the lacuna in whatever field. Teaching without any discussion and entertainment is monotonous, but here we get everything what a physical classroom should be. We get the opportunity to clear our doubts by questioning, discussing, focusing on many ideas. I always send the link to my students and they also enjoy very much and always ask for the next link. But unfortunately, I couldn't attend some presentation, so I request our founder, Mr. Panchanan sir, to start this webinar again to give us the opportunity to learn more and know more about the world of language. During this session, I feel myself enter into the world of language, many areas of which were alien to me. So whatever I have learned today, got today, all the credit goes to our ESM team. Really, English Support Mission has opened the way to strengthen our knowledge by introducing us to the ocean of knowledge. The more I say, the less it would be. Each and every member of this team has that enthusiasm to organize, conduct, and make this session a powerful one. So last but not least, I would like to request my English Support Mission to conduct their webinar time and again to purify us, fine-tune us. Thank you all, the distinguished intellectuals and team members, because without their effort, it is just impossible to interact with such intellectual directly in a single platform. Really, I feel now how small the world is. We can talk, meet to any genius at any time by sitting in a particular chair. So thank you again for giving this opportunity to me. Thank you.
Sir, you're muted, sir.
Thank you, Malavika Mishra ji, for your kind words, and thank you so much for being there with us till the end. Any next participants?
Any other participant, please, who wants to speak?
Yes, I have a question, not a question, but a kind of seeking for suggestions from Binu sir. Sir, we have a class of students and it's absolutely complex mixture of the varieties of learning styles. We have slow learners, we have very slow learners, we have some learners with mediocre nature, and we have some good and intelligent students at the same time. In the same classroom, it seems quite difficult and sometimes very impracticable to deal with all within a very short span of time, maybe for 30 minutes or maybe for 45 minutes. But could you please throw some light so that we can do some sort of individualized instruction so that we can reach to each and every participant of the classroom. For example, we have a class of 40 students at the same time. So it seems impracticable for me and for teachers like me to touch each and every learner within the same given time. So could you please throw some light, please?
Thank you. Thank you for your question. I know that every classroom contains a mixed ability group. We have students who are very strong in language education. We have average students. And we also have a group of students who really lack in their language skills. And it's often very difficult for teachers to choose the right method of instruction. And this is why I suggest that we have to encourage them to develop learner autonomy and also collaborative learning. And this is the main idea behind encouraging learners to share their strategies. So they shouldn't believe that everything should come from the teacher. And they shouldn't believe that teacher is the only source of knowledge. They should find that the source of knowledge is not limited just to the teacher. They can also learn a lot from their peers. So we have to encourage peer-assisted learning strategies. At the same time, they can also learn a lot of things on their own. And this is why we sometimes say that learner autonomy is the foundation where they can develop the learning skills. So as far as the teacher is concerned, it's quite a complex task of accommodating different learning abilities in the classroom, because his priority is, in most cases, is talking to the students who are proficient in English. And this is why we see that most teachers ask the questions, their follow-up questions, while taking feedback. Do you understand? This is the question. Do you understand? And of course, the good one will respond saying yes. And teachers move to the next task, listening to this yes men. So instead of asking, do you understand? They should learn to ask comprehension checking questions, concept checking questions, so that they really understand the depth of student learning.
Okay.
So the bottom line is the students should be asked and they should believe the teacher is not the only source of learning. They can also learn a lot from their peers. Thank you.
That's a great suggestion, Binu sir. Thank you so much for the ideas on CCQs, I think, concept checking questions. All right. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that.
Thank you, sir. Any other participant who wants to ask, or a student, or wants to say something regarding the webinar series, your experience, you can share it with us. Yes.
Good evening, sir. Namaste.
Good evening. Yeah. You want to say something, Sharanya?
Yes.
Yes, please.
About this session. So I would first like to thank Panchanan sir for letting me know about this webinar series. This year, in 2021, I joined this series, and this series was just amazing. I can't say how amazing it was. The resource persons were very good, and they taught us many things that we didn't knew about, and we just enjoyed the whole session in this whole year in 2021 and 22. So I will thank Panchanan sir and ESM team for organizing sessions like this.
Thank you, Saranya.
Thank you so much, sir. And I would request you to arrange sessions like this more, so that we can learn something new, and we can learn some good things.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much.
Great.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Any?
May I?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Shabir,
please.
sir. Namaste, sir.
Shabir, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm Shabir Ahmed. I'm a PhD scholar of EFL University. At the same time, I teach in a Bangladeshi university. From the very beginning of web seminars, I have been joining almost all the webinars I have joined. I thank my dear supervisor, my honorable supervisor, Professor Anand Mahanand, for informing me about the webinars. Actually, when I started to join these webinars during the COVID-19 situation, that was also the time while we were taking part in the coursework of PhD. I considered, and to me actually, it was also a coursework. The webinars were a part of my coursework. I learned a lot, and even my planning of PhD, my thesis plan was greatly influenced by some of the sessions from the webinar series. So I thank a lot to ESM team for giving me the scope to take part in such webinars, and hope in future it will continue. And also I want to add that it was very much close to my context, as Bangladesh and Odisha is very close geographically and in context. The situation, socio-cultural situation also almost same. So it will be very, very much helpful for me to take part in such webinars in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Any other participant who wants to speak, please? Can please go forward.
Now let me request the organization to kindly excuse me because I have to leave now. There's a lesson that I've got in the evening. So kindly excuse me, I'm just leaving the meeting now. Once again, I thank you so much for giving me this platform, and I really appreciate the good work you are doing. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best for your future.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Professor Anand Mahanand to say something about the webinar series, his experience with ESM.
Yes, I am overwhelmed with joy and happiness and a sense of fulfillment because we have completed the webinar series, and under this we could organize 20 sessions in about 6 months. I think no college, no university, no institution can have this many webinars in 6 months. And a small group like this could do it. And in addition to that, we also had 40-hour course for high school students. And let me tell you that we didn't charge any fee, we didn't take any money from anybody, or we didn't pay any money to anybody. So it was purely voluntary, and it was based on service mentality. So though it is a small group, it has been catering to the needs of all kind of students and teachers. Just now we heard that a college student, intermediate student benefited a lot. At the same time, my scholar Shabir Ahmed, who is doing PhD, he said that he could get inputs from the webinars for designing his thesis. So a PhD student also is benefited. So it's a great thing. It gives a lot of pleasure and sense of fulfillment to know all these. We are really thinking globally and acting locally. We had sessions by experts from different areas and very distinguished ELT experts from the US, from Oman, and from other places. And also, we had good number of participants, very active participants who took active part and benefited a lot. Today's session was really brilliant. It was an eye-opener for all of us. And all other sessions ranged from developing skills to different aspects of teaching and learning, like assessment and other things. So I'm sure all these helped a lot to the teachers. I would congratulate the team of ESM who has been so committed and hardworking and selfless. So congratulations, everybody. Today is the day to rejoice and celebrate. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Anand sir. Thank you so much. Please keep us guiding all the time. We actually will try to do something more, something better in the days to come. Please keep us guiding all the time, and please be with all of us every time. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Pancha sir.
Now I request Mrs. Malavika Mishra to offer a vote of thanks.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon once again. I am Malvika Mishra, a fortunate team member. First of all, convey my hearty thanks to ESM team for giving me the opportunity to offer the vote of thanks in this valedictory session. At first, I offer my profound gratitude and convey my special thanks to all the dignitaries present over here. Our webinar series started on 27th June 2021, and now it has covered about 8 months. During this period, we have got the golden opportunity by getting chance to interact with the Maharathis of English language. This session will be incomplete if we cannot name the dignitaries. At first, I convey my special thanks to Professor G. Rajgopal sir, though he is absent now, but he is the first person who had his presentation on the inaugural day, and he has taught a lot, and we got many things to learn. So I convey my special thanks to him. And now this is a time to offer my special thanks to Dr. Anand Mahanand sir, who has presented twice on this webinar series. Sir, anyone can be your fan, not only for your knowledge, but for your smiling personalities, which gives us enough strength to interact with you and learn more and more about the topic. Sir, the most important part of your character is, in Odia, they are just saying, Pholanti gocho lohi jai. And I find the same in you, sir. Your each accent, each words teaches us many things. Your presence is our strength, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us the knowledge on teaching language through literature, which helped me a lot to deal in my classroom. Thank you, sir, and hope for the same in forthcoming days also. Now, I would like to thank today's the chief guest, that Dr. Sisi Soy. Really, sir, we shouldn't feel sorrow, rather congratulate everyone for their sincerity, their effort to make this session a powerful one. Your each words echoes in me, and I'm glad to thank you as you have shared the beautiful experience of your daughter. If a person of literature like you present with us, it will be strong support for us. Thank you, sir, for being with us, and hope for the same in futures also. And now I would like to thank Dr. Binu PM sir, though he is not now and he has his excuses. Still, he has taught us many things today, that how the slow learner are not disabled, only they learn slowly. I thank him for defining the slow learner vividly and giving a positive assumption on their problems and strategies to uplift them. Now, though some of our research persons are not present due to some of their personal causes, but I would like to convey my special thanks to them, who has taught a lot and support us to carry on this webinar series successfully. So, Professor Sumita Roy, Professor Kalyani Samantray, Professor Atanu Bhattacharya, Dr. Abhilash Naik, Professor Kalyani Samantray, Dr. Arun Behra, Professor V. Ganeshan, Professor Venkat Reddy, Professor Mr. Sushai Rathinam, and Dr. Suchismita Barik. All the research person, I'd like to thank them because they have presented their paper on various topics and encourages a lot. Now, I would like to thank all the chief guests also in webinar series, in Professor Sanjay Kumar Satpathy, Captain Jayadev Sahu, Sri Temlal Dubey, Dr. Bikram Kedas, and Dr. Shishir Kumar Swai. Just today already I have named him also. Professor Kalidas Mishra, Professor B.N. Patnaik, Dr. Sunita Mishra, Dr. Albert, and Dr. Ajit Kumar, and Dr. Priya Sasidharan. So all the chief guests, they have come to our webinar series and graced this occasion very beautifully, and we are very thankful to them that they have spent their valuable time with us. Now, my special thanks goes to our ESM team, that all the members of all the committed team member of our ESM. Special thanks to Mr. Subhranshu for managing the technical side so perfectly in every session and conducting most of the sessions so beautifully. And I thank to all the members, especially Lingraj sir, Panchanan sir, and many participants who has attend the seminar and make our seminar a beautiful one. That in every seminar we got something new that teaches us to perform in our class as a teacher and as a student also. Last but not least, my special thanks goes to the founder of ESM, Mr. Panchanan Duria, who has not only initiated this mission, but has presented himself as a resource person twice during this session. Without him, nothing is possible. He is the man who does everything but shows nothing. I am an admirer of his personality, who himself is a legend, though he denied it. So thank you so much, sir, as you have introduced us with such personality, whom perhaps we only could see in dream. So thank you so much, all the participants, to make our webinar series a successful one. Thank you all. Over to you, Lingraj, sir.
Thank you, Malavikanan, for your lovely lines, for your lovely offer of vote of thanks. Now, it's quite true that ESM has done something, at least for the rurality, for the people, not just for the rurality, but for the people across the world. Thank you so much for your time. Panchanan sir, could you please take it over? Panchanan sir.
Okay, thank you, Malavika Mishra ji. Thank you so much for your beautiful Now,
Thank you, sir.
winding up the session, vote of thanks, sir. So it's time for all of us to wind up the session. Thank you so much, every single participant, for your time, for joining us today. And again, being the founder of ESM, I'm very much deeply thankful to our mentor, Professor Anand Mahanan, for his consistent support, guidance, and mentorship. He is very committed to ESM than us. Thank you so much, sir. We have miles to go, and we do assure you that we are committed to doing something better in times to come, because you are there with us. When the Sarathi is, when the captain is committed, so we all are, we have to be committed, sir. We'll
You are the
never let
captain.
you
You are
down.
my captain. Oh, captain, my captain.
Thank you, sir. Savi, sir, thank you so much for joining us from Bangladesh, and Ankit Ratha. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. So,
Thank you, sir.
okay.